Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to our next Java Champions interview. I'm Sandra and today I'm having the possibility to interview Ken Fogel. Welcome, how are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me today.
It's an honor. Can you tell us what are you doing so far? What's your career like?
Well, currently I'm an instructor in computer science at Dawson College in Montreal. In Montreal, here in Quebec, the college system is a little different from the rest of the world, whereas computer science is typically thought of as a university undergraduate program and then obviously graduate work. In Quebec, a student can also do computer science programming as a technology. So we take students who come out of high school, and over a 3-year period, we train them to be software developers. So not a lot of heavy math courses, not a lot of deep theory, but all about hands-on development. And my role in the program over the years has been in the final project courses in the 3rd year.
Oh, wow, so you're doing a lot of practical exercises with the students?
Absolutely. Each of my courses, there are anywhere from 50 to 75 sample programs. We review them, and then they work on projects. So right at this moment in time, I'm actually now doing the grading for the project for this semester, which was an email client, somewhat akin to Microsoft Outlook, but without all the extra features. But there's still the tree, the table, and the place to enter your emails.
Yeah, I did that when I was studying my bachelor's. I think it was in the 2nd year we did something like this. Wrote an email client all in Java. That was a lot and intense and took a while. So, and you are a Java champion. How long and how did you become one? So I'm very curious how to get one, like someday.
My background, I had a few careers. I found a computer, an Apple II, became obsessed, discovered there was a strong demand for, freelance programmers in the 80s. So I did a lot of work, actually working out of my basement like I am now. And then one day, because of some evening courses, I was invited to join the faculty at Dawson College. And I made the decision then, a nice even paycheck, a nice government pension at the end. That was going to work for me. I had young kids, and that was over 30 years ago. And, along that time, I started blogging, I started writing. And then about 8 years ago, a gentleman from Oracle reached out to me. And he asked me if I would go to Java 1. That's what it was called then. Now it's called Code 1 in San Francisco. I gathered up funding from both my college. I also taught at a local university. And I went to California for the first time, where I met an amazing group of people who were so inviting. So, like I arrived, a complete stranger, probably the oldest man in the room in many cases, yet I was one of the gang. And so from that, I started writing more. I went to a second Java 1 conference. And at that point, I said, you know what? I'd like to bring a little of this conference experience back to Montreal. So I started a conference at Dawson called DosCon. And the first year was, new conferences are difficult, but we're into our 5th year now. Last year we had over 350 people on campus. And so it was my involvement in organizing the local Montreal community into a conference. The fact that up until obviously this year in the pandemic, I've been going to Oracle's conferences every year and speaking at the conferences. I've now spoken at Apache. I went to the jCrete Unconference, an amazing thing worth another story. And so I'm just getting involved. I even had a presentation at Code 1 called "There Are More Java Villains Than There Are Java Champions." And the idea behind this little presentation, a kind of sort of stand-up routine, was just to talk about all the probably bad things we do just to get the job done. And so I had no expectation. I'm just, teaching in my little corner of the world. And it was 2 years ago. I'm up at the podium for DawsCon, about to introduce our keynote speaker, Venkat Subramanian. And I get interrupted during the introduction. And that's, of course, strange. Who interrupts somebody during an introduction? And so this fellow, actually another Montreal developer, comes up, says, I have to say a few words. And that's when he announces I've been elected, I've been, approved, whatever the way it goes, as a Java champion. And again, based on my involvement in the conference, the fact that I'll write about anything. I have my little YouTube channel. I have no shame. I'll say dumb things. I'll say good things. And apparently that made me a candidate for Java champion.
Oh, that must have been a breathtaking moment. Can you realize what you said?
Well, I was truly dumbfounded, because I look at Java champions as people who, have made significant contributions to the community. They lead open source projects. They speak at conferences around the world. And I just considered myself just a little hack here in Montreal, who, contributed a few things out there. And so I was just blown away. And I'm also a touch vain. So for the rest of the day, I had trouble going through doorways because my head was so big, I had to turn sideways to be able to get through. But once I got over that, I then became exposed to an even larger community of developers who've, made me a part of that. And to this day, I continue to promote Java and believe that is the most significant language anybody learning to be a developer needs to know. There's other amazing languages. I always say, once you learn Java, now it's time to learn Python, and not the other way around. That's just my opinion. But I think Java is where we all need to start, and that's what I talk about.
Oh, that's very interesting. So, and are there any new things you are teaching about Java? So we have this ongoing conversations about different Java SDKs or OpenJDK.
Well, in my courses, we've always tried to use, for instance, the most recent JVM. So again, things have changed. We started this course and the planning happened in August. So we're doing Java 14 now. I believe, and I look at our students and I say they come into our program, and in 3 years, most will go to work, some will go on to university. And it's our job to try and predict what skill sets they will need when they graduate. What is going to be the techniques, the technologies that they will expect to use. And so that's what I try and incorporate in my courses. So they're always changing. Nothing is stagnant. It would be nice if I could say, oh, well, I recorded all of last year's lectures, so just watch just watch last year, and then I can take the whole semester off. But no, there's always something new. There's always something I've learned from the previous year. And I know going forward, I'm really excited about Loom and some way to make threading a little easier to understand. Streams, lambdas. I'm particularly fond of single file Java execution, especially as a tool for learning the language. So there's always something new.
Yeah. Do you have a career advice for young students? Should everyone graduate, or what should you do?
Well, what we see in our program is typically we have, on average about 100 students who enter our program, and probably a little less than half graduate. And that's because for many students, especially unsure of what their future is coming out of high school, and programming sounds good. Everybody hears the stories of these amazing offices and ridiculous salaries. And so people get swayed to go into programming. But I believe in any profession, what's most important is that you have a passion. And that's why, although we may take 100 students in, we're only going to be graduating 40 students, sometimes even less. And these are the students who truly have that passion, who truly, want to write code, want to make a difference in the world through code. And that's what I think is important for anybody considering it. It's absolutely fine to enter a program, computer science, heck, go into nursing, and discover that, wait a minute, this wasn't for me. But, computer science should be something you consider. And also, either you're going to develop that passion and you're going to see it through, or you'll discover your passion isn't here, and then you need to find where it is.
That's true. Thanks a lot. So for me, the programming itself isn't always fun. Sticking with the bug for hours, then finding the bug, which was almost too ridiculous to tell others, but then, you found it. But then in the end, when the program is running, that's just amazing. I build it with my own hand and I make it run, I make it work. I'm solving some problems. That's also great. So I really love that feeling. Triggers me, that makes my passion.
Yeah. And that's what I tend to write about. I put a lot of stuff on Twitter. Mm-hmm. I believe the restricted size, the 140 characters was a little difficult, but at 280 I can tell the world how dumb I am. The other day I discovered that I completely misunderstood something called a delta, having to do with the number of significant decimal places while doing a unit test. And I was close, which meant my tests would work, but they were passing for reasons different from what I thought. So, heck, I just tweeted. I said, look, I'm stupid. I just discovered I'd had this wrong all along. And it was funny. I got one tweet from somebody who said, no, that's the way it was. And then I explained what I discovered, and it was like, oh, yeah. So I think that's important. And that's what I like about the people I've met and the community in general. Nobody's afraid to talk about not only their successes, but sometimes their failures.
Yeah, you learn a lot, and it's lifelong learning for all of us.
Exactly.
All of us developers, and it keeps everyone young as well.
Yep.
So, okay. Anything else you want to share? Maybe also about DawsCon? Are there any plans for next year's already, or is it still too uncertain?
DawsCon will happen on January 15th. Mm-hmm. We have 24 speakers who will be speaking during the day. Not all champions. We have people from a whole range of areas. This year, for our 5th anniversary, I actually went back and invited everyone who had ever spoken at DawsCon in the first 4 years, and most accepted. We've added a few new people. I have to admit, we even have one session that will be on C# and a platform called which is cross-platform development for Android or iOS using Visual Studio. And the platform is actually developed here in Montreal. I have to admit, my son works for them. So he's a QA manager. So I reached out to them and said, hey, this is something that developers in Montreal need to know. The world is not just Java. And again, as I said before, I think we all need to know Java, but there's amazing other things we should learn about.
It is.
That. So there's plug number 1, but I've got a second plug, and that is there's a second conference that I'm involved with organizing as part of a team, and this is a conference being run by the jChampions. The formal announcements will probably happen next week. This is an interesting conference because unlike DawsCon, which is one day with 24 sessions, the jChampions conference will run on 4 days. Each day there will be 6 sessions. So there won't be sessions in parallel. It'll be 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon. The idea behind that conference is to give people who are listening to the presentations more time to interact with the speakers. So January 13th, 14th, 18th, and 19th is jChampions Conference. DawsCon, January 15th.
All right. Thank you very much. I have a lot to put in my calendar.
I hope.
Thank you very much. It was so nice meeting you, and hope to hear more of you soon. I will share all the links of your blog, DosCon, and everything else what's interesting.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for asking to speak with me.
Thanks.